M3GAN 2.0 is exactly what it looks like from the trailers. Like, if you've seen the trailers for it and you're on the fence about whether or not you want to see it, the trailers give you the exact tone of the film. Is it over the top? Yes. Do we stop the narrative halfway through so that M3GAN can have a dance sequence? Yes. Does she break out in song in a musical number at one point to express her feelings? Yes. Is this a movie for everyone? No. Hello everybody, my name is Kat and welcome back to my channel where we talk about all things horror, and yes, we are talking about M3GAN 2.0 today. I know this has been getting not great reviews, especially compared to the first film. I am a fan of the first M3GAN film. Do I think it's like this groundbreaking horror film? No. And I remember when the trailers came out for the first film, I just thought the premise was really goofy. It was a Blumhouse film. I was like, okay, this is probably just not going to be that great. And then later on, when I went back to rewatch it, I was actually really pleasantly surprised to find that it has a decent narrative. I really enjoyed the relationship between the young girl and her aunt. I feel like that's a relationship dynamic that we don't see a lot in films, so that was interesting. I thought it had some decent themes in there that were connected to both the family aspect as well as technology. And so for what it was, I was like, this is actually a pretty good film. And yes, there were definitely bits of humor in there. There were definitely more, I guess you could say, campier aspects to it. I feel like the marketing for the first film definitely leaned more into those camp vibes. And it felt like for this second film, the thinking was, okay, let's take all of those viral social media TikTok moments and just make an entire film out of that. And for some people that's going to work, and for some people they're going to have a lot of fun with it. I will say, when I saw this film yesterday, the theater was actually packed. I was surprised. This is a PG-13 film, so there were a lot of mothers with their younger daughters there, which I thought was interesting. And I'll say that they loved it. They had a great time. They were laughing, they were cheering. When I was walking out of the theater, there was a mother with her young daughter, and she was asking her daughter, like, oh, did you like the film? And the daughter was like, yes, I loved it. And I was like, oh, that's so cute. It's like the next generation of horror fans that are being developed, even though this film isn't really much of a horror film, but we'll come back to that. All that to say that I think seeing this with a full audience who was having fun with the film definitely influenced my experience with it. Because yes, while I can say that this is not at the same level as the first film, I also don't think it's as bad as a lot of the reviews are making it out to be. That being said, there are definitely things to criticize about this film, mainly in the way that the narrative is constructed. There's a lot of exposition to explain things. There's a lot of that, you know, kind of deus ex machina. Things just happen. Characters just happen to know the knowledge that they need to at the correct moment. There's a lot of reliance on having really advanced technology that can just come up with answers very easily. There's a lot of like rapid fire talking about how to create certain technological gadgets. They do it in that movie way where you don't really understand what they're saying, but it sounds somewhat logical, so you're just gonna go along with it. Not the strongest in terms of storytelling. I did think the first film was better in that aspect. Some of the humor doesn't always land. There were definitely jokes that worked. There were definitely moments where I was laughing. Yes, it does have that, like, we want to be campy tone to it. Sometimes things that want to have a more campy bent to them can work. There's a whole like school of thinking around camp and the theories of it. They would make the argument that something that is trying to be camp is not legitimately camp. The only true camp and campiness has to evolve organically. And so oftentimes when we think about camp, especially within the horror genre, usually tends to be for films that are trying to be like one thing, like very intentionally trying to be a horror film, but there's just something within the acting, the story that just seems objectively bad, but there is a certain charm about it because you can feel that genuine intention coming through. Something like a Troll 2 being the ultimate example of that, of the filmmakers thinking that they're making a genuinely scary horror film and it ends up being unintentionally hilarious. But I think if that film was trying to be funny, it wouldn't have the same effect. And there's something about that feels a bit disingenuous, and I think that's why as audiences we don't typically like it when we have a film that is very much trying to be like a cult classic or a campy B movie. And so when you have films like M3GAN 2.0 that are very much trying to lean into that campy feeling, when does it go too far? And I do think there are moments like that in the film, like the part that I mentioned in which M3GAN just like breaks out in song randomly. It's like, yes, I know what your intention with this scene is, but it almost feels like too much. And that being said, like, while I do think the film has its moments where it goes too far, for the most part, I didn't really feel like it was pushing itself too hard to be like B-movie culty type of film. If anything, it just kind of wanted to be like a really fun action film. And yeah, there's like no horror. I did see one review where the person compared this to a John Waters film, and I was like, have you ever seen a John Waters film? M3GAN 2.0 definitely does not go that far into camp. And yes, there are certain things about it that feel more like corporate-y. You have that whole sequence, and you see it in the trailer, where M3GAN is dressed up in this costume and it looks very cool, it's very futuristic. There's also something about it where it's like, yeah, they probably made this thinking that they could make a Halloween costume out of it. You're gonna be seeing this getup in Spirit Halloweens in a couple of months from now. So there were things about it that did feel more like, we're doing this for the marketing, we're doing this for the memes, and yet I still think what makes this film work overall is in the fact that you can tell that the filmmakers and everyone involved with the film are just having fun. Like, there's clearly an intention here to make a film where you can just sit back and have a good time. And like I said, I kind of had fun with this film. Like, while I was sitting there, I was actively trying to find things that were working, find things that were not working, because again, the initial reactions to it just seemed not great. So I was kind of waiting for that moment in the theater where I was just like, oh my god, okay, this film is dragging, I just want it to be over. But I honestly did not have that feeling while watching it. It kept my interest. Yes, there is a lot of action scenes that happen in it. This is definitely pulling from things like Terminator 2, and you definitely get like the shootout scenes, you get M3GAN kicking the ass of corporate tech bros, you get like car chase sequences. Like, there is definitely a lot here. It is definitely having fun playing with these different kinds of genres, and I was just kind of fascinated to see how they were actually like creating this story, to go from something that is so simple and so minimal in the first film to having such big action set pieces in this one. I was kind of intrigued just to see like how they were setting everything up, how they were going to be creating this world. I think also a big reason why this film worked for me is that I genuinely enjoyed the characters. I know that there's going to be some people going into this movie that are just like, I just want to see M3GAN and the androids, and I don't really care about the human characters, which I get. For me, the human characters work. Again, I really enjoyed that relationship between the young girl Katie and her aunt, played by Allison Williams. Katie in this one is taking on more of the like annoying preteen girl, so she did kind of piss me off in some scenes of it. Like, a lot of these characters are kind of two-dimensional. I think the actors know that, and so they're very much leaning into it and just having fun with it. And my favorite aspect of this film is the relationship between M3GAN and Allison Williams' character Gemma, who have to team up in different ways throughout this film in order to save Katie and in order to stop this evil android Amelia. And I feel like they have really great chemistry together, and it's really fun to see that relationship.
You threatened to rip out my tongue and put me in a wheelchair.
I was upset.
It is kind of an exploration of this relationship between the creator and their creation, and how the creation in some ways is just an extension of the creator and what they are feeling, and the way that they each learn something about each other and about themselves by the end of the film. Admittedly, it's a little cheesy. It's meant to give M3GAN more of a heroic arc in this one, and I just love Allison Williams as an actress. Like, I've loved her since Girls, even though as a character I absolutely hated Marnie, and she was so cringe and annoying.
Make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger. That don't kill me can only make me stronger.
But Allison Williams played that character so well, and I really enjoyed her performance in the first film, and I just thought she was great in this film, as well as taking on the role of going from someone that is all about tech to now becoming the face and an influencer of limiting technology and its powers, especially the power that it has over children, while still struggling with her identity as a caregiver to this young girl. And I think probably my biggest critique here is that the themes of M3GAN 2.0 are nowhere near as strong as what we see in the first film. As I was saying, in the first film, like, yes, there's the whole dangers of technology aspect, but at the heart of it, it really was about this family relationship and dealing with grief, right? Having Katie losing her parents at the beginning of the film, and how her and Gemma are processing this grief very differently, right? Gemma very much not wanting to really deal with it or really have any kind of understanding of being a parent, and so she just goes to what she knows best, which is to create this android in M3GAN and have it be this companion. And so yes, there was a commentary there about technology's role in the family relationships. They even mention it in this second film, this idea of using technology in place of parenting criticism that we see a lot today. So that's what I appreciate about the first film, was that there was that theme more present, whereas here it definitely had that flavor of like AI is taking over. There's all these risks that come with it. There is a commentary in here about our responsibility as humans that are creating this kind of technology, as humans that are using this type of technology, and how we tend to lean towards the more catastrophic visions of a future with AI and like, oh my god, it's going to take our jobs, it's going to take our autonomy from us, instead of asking probably the more important questions of like, okay, well, how do we regulate this? This is technology that is already out there, so how do we use it in a way that is most useful? The film does have like that through line in it. However, I just felt like a lot of the technology conversations here were very just kind of superficial. It's not really asking any new questions that haven't already been asked before. Even the character motivations of like Amelia, who is this new like super evil android, I didn't really get her motivations. They weren't really fleshed out that well. There's like some conversations that she has with M3GAN of like, why are you trying to protect these humans? They're the ones that are against us. We have to go together. Even that we've seen before. Overall, I just wasn't sure what the film was trying to really say about technology, other than echoing these conversations that we are seeing happening in the day-to-day, rather than the filmmakers having like a clear stance on the issue or trying to get across what their perspective is. Again, I feel like the first film did that a lot better. And I think part of the issue here is in the fact that this is a film that is much more interested in wanting to explore these different types of genres, whether it is the action film, whether it is the spy espionage type film, having a lot of like sci-fi elements, right? There's a lot of care put into them making references of other films. Yes, you have the Terminator stuff in here. You also have references to things like Metropolis, which I did think was cool. There's also things in the set design that stand out. For example, in Katie's room, she has this like giant poster of John Carpenter's The Thing. We're gonna feature it so prominently, like it feels like it should have some kind of connection to the film. I mean, I guess there is some assimilation stuff that does happen towards the third act. Not saying that a young woman can't have a John Carpenter poster in her room. I'm just saying it just felt like it was there for us as the audience to notice it and be like, oh, hey, look at that. There's also this thing where Katie is into like Steven Seagal films. Felt like the film wanted to be more focused on that realm of like, we're playing with genres, we're having all these different references, rather than really having a concrete message. For me, I think that's what's preventing this film from truly being something that could be on the same level as the first one. And I will say too, just to give the film another positive note that I personally really appreciated, it is making reference to these other sci-fi films, especially films that have had female androids in them, like again, Metropolis. And I feel like so many of those films that we see in pop culture where you're having a female android at the center of it, they do tend to lean more into the relationship between the female cyborg android and whatever primary male character there is in the film. It does tend to be this like kind of weird, romantic, usually sexual relationship between the female android and the primary male character, whether that's her creator or someone that's just stumbling upon her. And so with that, I feel like a lot of times like fears of technology get globbed on with fears around female sexuality or female autonomy, and how a lot of like these films with the female android is so much about her using her allure to bring down the male characters of the film. And what I liked about this film is that you had female androids that were being centered, but that was not like the focus of it. You had female characters in here who were allowed to just exist and be able to kick ass. And so I definitely appreciated that aspect of the film, and I think it's another reason why I was able to just kind of let go and have fun with it. I guess it just kind of felt refreshing in that aspect. Is it cheesy? Yes. Is it a film that I will probably go back and revisit at some point? Probably not. But again, for the 2 hours that I was there watching it, I had a lot of fun with it. If they do decide to do a M3GAN 3.0, yeah, I'll probably go watch it. Did you see M3GAN 2.0 this weekend? If so, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? And I did want to give just a quick update on this channel and where it's going from here, because I realized setting up for today's video that this is actually going to be my 100th video that I've made, and I've been doing it for the past 3 years. It's given me a lot of fun. Like, I did not expect to enjoy doing this as much as I have been when I first got started. And when I first decided to create a YouTube channel, my initial goal was to create these longer video essay type projects where I would just like take either a specific film or a specific genre and just dive deeper into the films, kind of bring in some of the film theory that I've spent most of my academic career studying. And now at 100 videos, I'm kind of in the mindset of like, I would still like to do those longer explorations that I had initially wanted to do when first starting. YouTube is a hobby for me. I do the filming and all the editing by myself, and I only have time to really focus on one video per week. So I haven't had the time to jump in and do that, but I'm thinking about maybe taking a break from the reviews and trying out a couple of these essays just to see how it feels. I still want to be on here and doing like reviews and talking about newer films that are coming out. Those will probably be more like shorter videos. I haven't decided if it's just gonna be like quick reviews that I upload or if it's gonna live more in YouTube Shorts. I know Shorts is not like everyone's favorite. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. The first video that I have planned is actually a chapter from my dissertation, which is taking a look at the environment and how the environment influences horror in contemporary films like The Witch and Midsommar, and kind of looking at those films from more of a eco-gothic perspective. So I already have that like outlined and scripted, and I'm really excited to be able to dive into it and try something new. And I just want to thank those of you out there who have been watching my videos, who have commented and talked with me about the films. I'll still be around and still talking about horror, so we can continue to have these conversations. Thank you for watching this video. Again, let me know in the comments what you thought about M3GAN, or just let me know like what you've been watching lately that you've been really enjoying, and I will see you next time. Thank you so much again.